Just showing you around a little bit. Out to breakfast again at a different location. Morning, everybody. Can't really see much out this window. Trees are just starting to bloom, get some of the buds on them. Another week or two, you won't even be able to see those mountains that you can see behind there. But this is Little Cottonwood Creek. Thought you'd like to see it. And they're bringing me more coffee. They're just great. Yeah, the stuff that wakes us up in the morning.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very
You're
much.
welcome.
So, anyway, there's some exciting things about this creek, which I won't tell you about. It'd take too long. It comes right down from the mountains up there, of course, and it's ice cold. It's extremely cold. I know I've been in it before for a number of reasons. That's a suspension bridge there. You walk across it, and you definitely need to have your pirate legs because that thing moves a lot. So anyway, it's kind of fun to come down here, and just thought I'd show it to you real quick, and then we'll get to business here. Shift this back around. Okay, there we are. Alrighty, bring that up a little closer so you can hear. The signal is not real good here, so I don't know how good or how bad this will be. Hopefully the sound will at least stay with us while we talk. And I decided to do this morning for a couple of reasons. Actually, there were some things I wanted to talk about, but I didn't get an answer from the individual that I wrote last night on Twitter on a DM for some information. So that's kind of anticlimactic, of course, to tell you I was going to get some information, but then couldn't get a hold of the person. So that's kind of unfair, but just know that there's some things going on. Hello, everyone, as you come in. Oh, of course, yes, I'm Roy Potter. Welcome to this impromptu of the Potter Expositor. Hopefully you can hear me and see me okay. Like I say, the signals are really good. Okay, where I wanted to go this morning was some things came out in the last week or so that we've known about, but the importance of it, I think, far outweighs the attention that it's getting at this point, because it shows basically what we've all known, and that is that the intelligence community, and that includes the CIA, the FBI, the DOJ, the DOD, the State Department, etc., have really been our enemies, the enemies of the American people, where they're trying to push a political agenda to force us into an authoritarian leftist Marxist state. We're already there, but they're trying to do it more and more in this election with Donald Trump. Whether or not he's a placebo doesn't matter. The point is that this is what we were facing. So at any rate, this situation with the Russian scholar Svetlana Lokhova is very, very important, because this is how this is probably the way they set up Michael Flynn, as you probably already know now, General Michael Flynn, was Stefan Halper, who was an FBI or CIA asset or both, made sure that the little rumor mill started working well enough that he could say that General Flynn was having an affair with this Russian. See what I mean? Now, they've tried to do that to me, not with Russians, but in other ways, so I know exactly how this thing works. And it's very, very upsetting. Oh, by the way, a lot of people might say, Roy, why would they be bothering you? You're a nobody. That's a good question. But I think it's primarily because I've been so outspoken most of my life, since I was in my 20s. And I'm not afraid to call it the way I see it. Plus, of course, I was in the military. I was in a police department. I've had contacts with people. I've rubbed elbows with some pretty significant people, like General Petraeus, for instance, members of the CFR, So I think probably, and they probably consider me a possible emergent leader in the rise up against the state, that kind of nonsense, which I've never done. I've spoken my mind, and I've called out their crimes and their immoralities and their treason and their attempts to steal from the American people and murder them. But I've never had any plan or had any concept of organizing something. I realize that that's crazy. We have to do it through competent authorities because it won't go anywhere if we don't. And that's why I call on President Trump the way I do. So why do they harass me? More than likely try to turn me like they did Randy Weaver, and I've talked about that before, and that will never happen. Okay, it just won't happen. Next time I run into one of these guys like I did the other day, I won't just wave at them. I'll actually turn on my live stream and we'll go up and we'll have a chat with them. Okay, that's, you guys do this, just know that next time we're going to have a chat on live stream. Okay, when you do this to me, because I'm tired of protecting your IDs for your safety now. You want to harass me? Next time we're going on live stream. Okay, okay, my friends. Okay, so getting back on Svetlana Lokhova, General Michael Flynn, and Stefan Halper. The thing I want to point out about this is that, see how they take a small innocuous thing and they use it, okay, to make a circular argument, create a situation, have it reported, and then they use that as the excuse to conduct their nonsensical, idiotic. It makes you wonder. It really makes what the CIA and the FBI do anymore makes the Keystone Cops and Austin Powers, and I might as well add the Pink Panther there too, Inspector Clouseau, make them look like, brilliant. It's really shameful what we're looking at and what's happened. Not just the fact that they would conduct these types of things against Americans, against anybody, but that they're so horrible at it. They're so terrible. Their stories sound like it's like the Steele dossier. How absurd is that thing if you've read it? It's ridiculous. So at any rate, getting back on Svetlana, nice lady. She was married. She's married. She's just had a child, maybe two. I think just one, though. But the thing that's important here is this. Remember, the CIA gave $600 million to the Washington Post. Now, the MSM has been the propaganda arm of the CIA and the intelligence community for a long time. We all know that. Operation Mockingbird, the Smith-Mundt Act, which they repealed, the Patriot Act, the NDAA 2013, all of these things, right? Where now they even fund the CIA in giving propaganda to the American people. When I say they, I mean Congress. So for a long time, I've said the MSM and the IC are the same thing, and President Trump really needs to call that out. Well, here's a perfect example that he could use, because what happened here were two reporters. I'm not going to go through the whole story, but the two reporters, Tim Hamburger, can you imagine having a name like that? I guess it's not any worse than Potter, right? Potter. Tim Hamburger and David Ignatius of the Washington Post must have known what they were doing in trying to set this thing up. They were told to do this. It was part of the operation. There's no question about it. And if you go and read, she's on Twitter. She has a Twitter thread, Svetlana Lokhova does, about what happened here. It really explains the tie-ins between Stefan Halper, the dinner that they were at, Stefan Halper, Svetlana, and General Flynn, along with one of the assets from British intelligence. I forget his name right now. And then these two reporters from the Washington Post, Tim Hamburger and David Ignatius, making a story out of it that then they could use later, the FBI and the IC, in their little silly ass games of entrapping people. So this is what, there was one quote that I want to quote from her that I saw on her Twitter account, and that's what I want to tell you about today. This is what she said. And it's right on, and it's time to start not just talking about this and saying, oh, let's connect the dots. No, ladies and gentlemen, the dots are connected, and we need to see these people arrested, tried, and if convicted, sentenced to prison for life or hung. And I'm dead serious about that. This is what she says. Quote, about this whole situation where the CIA and the FBI used the Washington Post to go after her, to set her and Michael Flynn up. This is her quote. She says, quote, separately, there has to be a public inquiry into the alarming links between the Washington Post reporters and those with access to classified information. That's a nice way of saying that they're being used by the intelligence community inappropriately. $600 million from the CIA to the Washington Post. I'm going to throw in here as well that there's an opposite story here, and the opposite story is people that they protect, the CIA and the Washington Post and the government protects. The number one I'm going to mention is Bill Browder, and Lee Stranahan has been all over that. And of course, he was an American citizen. His father was the leader of the Communist Party. He's an American citizen, or was an American citizen, renounced his citizenship, and then was assisting in looting Russia back when Russia turned capitalistic after the fall of the Soviet Union. He's a criminal, and yet he's protected. So here the IC and the CIA goes after an innocent man, General Flynn, and this Svetlana Lokhova, with the help of Stefan Halper and this British intelligence dude. Sorry, I forget his name. It's right on the tip of my tongue. They use this apparatus to go after them, but by the same token, they protect people like Bill Browder, again, who Lee Stranahan has unmasked, for lack of a better term. And I would encourage Dan Bongino to just go there. I don't know why he won't. I'm not holding it against him. He has his theories and his explanation of things, which are fine with me. But this thing with Bill Browder should not be ignored, okay? And the Ukrainian thing, which of course Dan Bongino talks about, but he doesn't talk about Weiner and his connection to Browder and things like that. But at any rate, that's another story. My point is that these things are used to hurt people unethically and illegally and immorally, and to protect people illegally and immorally. They protect Bill Browder, they go after General Flynn and Svetlana Lokhova. Excellent quote that she made there, and I wanted to make sure that you all were aware of that. That's how they treat Russians. She researches intelligence. That's what she does. She writes books and she talks about intelligence operations and things like that. But she's not an intelligence operative. But even if she were, this was uncalled for. This was a setup, and there's no doubt about it. So again, what she says is, quote, separately, there has to be a public inquiry into the alarming links between the Washington Post reporters, that's David Ignatius and Tim Hamburger, and those with access to classified information. This was an important story to show that this thing is totally out of control. Our MSM does not report the news. They make it and they shape it and they deliver it as a package according to the desires of the intelligence community, and you could, by intimation, the New World Order, and etc. We don't have a free press in the United States of America. Even the independent press, the alternative media press, has had some problems. But it's better there than it is at the New York Times, Washington Post, ABC, NBC, CNN, MSNBC levels, obviously. Okay, I wanted to bring that up. And then I also wanted to bring up this thing with the border situation. I swear, okay, I'm giving it all the benefits of the doubt, but it looks like to me, like some other people have said, Ann Coulter being one, that President Trump is kicking this thing down the road another year. Why, if this was a national emergency? He didn't even have to declare a national emergency, as I talked about when this thing happened. He could have just used his presidential powers to go and take care of the border, number one being deployment of the military. But of course, the military-industrial complex does not want him to put troops on the border. Do you understand why? Because, as I said the other day, they're having an insurgency in Mexico. They're trying to control it with the drug cartels, and the same thing with South America. Plus the fact they want these wars in the Middle East and elsewhere, and in Africa. So if they take troops away from there to truly protect us, they don't want Trump to do that. I hope Trump's not going along with it. I hope he's not ignorant of what's happening here. No, I don't trust Kushner. I still don't. Regardless, he came up, he's now saying, well, he's not so sure he's going to close the border. Probably what he's going to do. And there's some problems with closing the border. There are. But I don't want to get into that right now. What I want to talk about is that it might not be a bad idea to do border security away from the ports. They do it anyway. But there seems to be a side to this that's troubling to me, and that is when I did my border security, my borders documentary. As it was, the wall wasn't always on the Rio Grande. Sometimes it was a half a mile inside the United States, where it would take property away from landowners. And there were all kinds of excuses for doing that. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo was brought in, the EPA, all kinds of things about environmental protection, just stupid stuff. But they made it so that basically we ceded that almost mile in some places, back to Mexico, this side of the Rio Grande. It really was a problem, and I saw that. So my problem with this idea, this solution of Trump's is that here we go, inconveniencing and actually causing a problem for the American people again. We're going to stop people at these border patrol stations, and I've seen it happen before on I-5 and I-15 coming up from San Diego. When those are operational, if it's busy, traffic will back up for miles. Is this to convince people that they need to do something else? Is this to press the people to go along with the next step that Trump wants to do? Well, I got to question it because guess what? The area around San Diego is primarily red. It's primarily Republican. I mean, there are Democrats there and there are leftist Marxists. But if you look at a map, it's primarily a conservative area. You got the military there. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder what the hell's going on here. So I almost labeled this video, I almost wanted to say, okay, well, before I tell you what I was going to name it, I almost looked at it, well, at least he's doing something. At least he's doing something. But this avoidance of using the military at the border is very troubling to me. So what I'm going to do is what they do in the Army. There are a couple of things that are said in the Army that I've said here before, and I'm going to say it again. This is directed to President Trump. When a lieutenant is out there doing stuff, and they don't know exactly what to do, the NCOs and the enlisted have this little saying. They go, "What you gonna do, LT? What you gonna do, LT?" And so here we are.
How's
Sorry.
it doing?
Oh, I can have it warmed up a little bit.
warmed
Thank
up?
you so much. Appreciate
How about
that.
that Market Street omelet? Are you ready?
Not quite yet, but I'll
Okay.
be ready for it in a few minutes.
All
Thank
right,
you.
well, I'll just keep checking back.
Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
They put up with me here like they do everywhere I go. I actually thought I was going to bring in my computer and my mic and my camera and all that and try to do it, but then, like I say, the connection probably isn't all that good. So, take a sip of this. So, like to the lieutenant, what you going to do, LT? What you going to do, DJT? What you going to do, DJT? And also, there's another statement, and you all know about this one too. Pretty common in the military. Shit happens. It's what you do next that counts. And harassing the American people in the interior just doesn't sound like a very good idea to me. So that's my report for the morning. I might come back in a little bit later. I don't know. It depends on some things. It seems like to me I do a lot more of this than I really want to. I'm very disturbed about how I'm glad the Congress is moving on this infanticide thing. It looks like it might go. I don't know. Most of them in there seem to be hesitant to do anything against Planned Parenthood and against the Moloch worshipers who want to kill innocents no matter where they find it, including infants. It's very distressing to me, and it makes me want to just recoil away from this country, this nation, what they purport to be and what they really are. We're going down the tubes. I saw I saw Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez yesterday say that she'd be in favor of drafting all genders. Did you see that? Drafting all genders. No, Ocasio, there are only two genders. The rest of it's in your mind. It's in people's sick, demented, disgusting minds. It's a tool of the evil side. This thing has been going on for a long time. A long time. The whole idea of the book that was written by or the concept, Order Out of Chaos, and the books that were written by people like Albert Pike, is all about ruining the established order to make something else. And they almost don't care what it is, even if they destroy it. So the old adage of if it isn't broken, don't fix it, they don't abide by that at all. So, you know how I feel about women in the service. I don't like it. I think it's a very, very bad thing for our species, for mankind in general. But for her to say she thinks that all genders, all what are 600 of them now? We're sick. It makes me just want to go up in the hills and just say, you know what? Unless this country repents en masse, it's going down. Like I said the other day, it's going down. If Trump doesn't do these declassifications, if he doesn't get on the offensive and go after these criminals, we're going down. What you gonna do, DJT? What you gonna do? I'd like to comment on some of the things you guys are saying. Yeah, I don't trust the military, at least not the upper brass, and I haven't, and I've been very vocal about that. But I'm just going to leave it there. Okay, so, no, you're right. What good is the military on the border if they're only a welcome committee? Well, it can't be that, and that's why I called for what I did yesterday. And it makes me sad that we have to treat a lot of those innocent people badly. But we haven't got any choice. We got to get tough. We got to get real tough. I tell you, it's an insurgency. It's an invasion. That's what it is. And just because there are a lot of innocent people that don't realize that they're being tools for that or hoping for a better life, it's being done all wrong. It's going to take the military on the border, and not as a welcoming committee, but as a forceful thing. And if people violate those things, they need to be taken out. I'm sorry, it's just the way it is. Okay? I imagine that one of the reasons why they started surveilling me the other day is the way I was taught is, oh, he's going to start up a militia and he's going to go bomb people and do all that. No, you stupid fools in the NSA and the FBI and the DOJ and the CIA, you're stupid fools. Good grief. You know, if they try to set me up, ladies and gentlemen, you know that's what they did. They tried to set me up. But I'm going to talk to them next time. I'm going to shove my phone right in their face. Right in their face. I'm going to say, these are the guys. Okay, that's what's going to happen next time. I will speak my mind and I will call it out as I see it. That's the way it is. Okay, everybody. Hey, I'm going to enjoy the rest of the day. If something comes up, we'll be back. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you have a great Sunday. Okay? What was that now? That was an interesting statement. You've got to look back at that. So we read all the things. Well, it looks like I lost it. Something about cops, many ex-cops or something. Yeah, I'll have to look at it later. Okay, like I say, it jumps around. Alrighty. We'll talk to you later. Let me give you another shot of things here so you can kind of enjoy the scenery, and then I'll say bye. Alright? We'll talk to you next time. Okay, out here, guys. Thanks a lot.